Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal. As we know, NVIDIA earnings is due next week. In this video, we'll take a look the impact of NVIDIA earnings on SMCI and Palantir stock price. We'll try to make an assessment how high or how low SMCI and Palantir can go before and after NVIDIA earnings. Let's get started. Starting with SMCI, you see daily stock chart for SMCI on your screen. SMCI went up about 5% today, and last 5 days it's only 2.4% up. So this tells that in last 5 days SMCI has not done enough movement, and this is very unusual. Normally, before the big event, SMCI is the one that makes the most movement. So this tells that SMCI still has some room to go further up before and after NVIDIA earnings. Now let's take a look another perspective, technical charts. You see 90-day hourly interval chart for SMCI. In last 90 days, the highest point SMCI touched was 1212. At this point, SMCI is at 822. So it's 25 to 30% behind its all-time high. So this also tells that SMCI still has more room to go further up. Now let's take a look another perspective, that is forward PE. You see this table on your screen. I have NVIDIA, Palantir, and SMCI to do the comparison. The last 4 cycles starting from 419. You see SMCI forward PE ratio at this point is 28.87 compared with NVIDIA that is 40.03 and Palantir that is 64.97. The last 4 weeks, NVIDIA has movement probably about 15%, I guess, but SMCI has done a very little movement in last 1 month from 27.94 to 28.87. It's probably about 1 or 2%. So this also tells that SMCI stock is still cheap at this price when compared with other AI stocks. Now let's take a look SMCI price movement before and after NVIDIA earnings in the last 2 or 3 cycles. Let's take a look. See this table on your screen? I added the SMCI and Palantir stock price before and after NVIDIA earnings for last 3 cycles. The last cycle, you see NVIDIA released the earnings on 221 after hours. So I got the closing price for SMCI on 221 and the closing price for SMCI on 222. So take a look. SMCI went up about 32% the next day after NVIDIA earnings. But 1 quarter before, instead of going up, SMCI went down 1% before and after NVIDIA earnings. And 2 quarters before, you see SMCI went down about 5% just before and after NVIDIA earnings. So there is no clear trend on SMCI, but the latest data is more relevant. So I'm guessing in this cycle, when NVIDIA publishes its earnings, SMCI stock should jump as well, just after earnings. Maybe it won't jump 32%, but at least 8 to 10% it should jump. That's my understanding. But if the NVIDIA earnings are disappointing, then it can go the other way as well. Now let's talk about Palantir, starting from the daily chart. You see the daily stock chart for Palantir. Palantir at this point is 2144. That is 2.39% up today. And last 5 days is still down 0.65%. And last 5 months is down 2.1%. So the Palantir chart is showing that Palantir also has some room to go further up around NVIDIA earnings. Let's take a look technical chart. I'm showing you 90-day hourly interval chart. In last 90 days, the highest point Palantir touch was 27.11. And that was the first week of March, that is 3/7. At this point, Palantir is trading around 2144. So this also tells that Palantir also has some room to go further up based on the technical charts. Now let's take a look another perspective, that is forward PE. You see forward PE for Palantir on your screen. At this point, Palantir is at 64 compared with the last 1 month. On 4/19, Palantir was 63.97. It went up to 70, but at this point it's 64. So it went up probably around 1% in last 1 month. So not big movement on Palantir last 1 month. So this also shows that Palantir has some room to go further up as well. Historically speaking, Palantir stock always had a higher forward P ratio compared with other AI stocks. Let's take a look. On 4/19, Nvidia was 33, Palantir forward P 63, and SMCI is 27. So we can say that Palantir is not cheap at this price compared with other AI stocks. But if you compare Palantir to Palantir using the historical data, and you can see that Palantir forward P is not too high at this point. Okay, it went up to 70 sometime in April. Now let's take a look how high or how low Palantir went before and after NVDA earnings. So you see this table on your screen. I did the same analysis for Palantir. So last cycle, just before the NVIDIA earnings, it's 22.72, and after the NVIDIA earnings the next day, Palantir was 23.59. It went up about 3.8%. Not a big jump compared with SMCI. And 1 quarter before, it went down 0.56%, and 2 quarters before, it went down 7.58% just after NVIDIA earnings. So that's all about SMCI and Palantir price assessment before and after NVIDIA earnings. So if I summarize, both SMCI and Palantir have the potential and room to go further up before and after NVIDIA earnings. But historically speaking, SMCI has a better chance to go further up compared with Palantir. I hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.